So we're going to talk to you about researching, choosing, and transferring between your institutions and your programs. This is going to be really important because this is going to be your future, and we want to help guide you along that path. So my name is Dr. Katie Lentz, and I am with Oral Roberts University. And I have with me David.
Yes, hello.
Also, so we just want to be able to help you walk through that process to say, where do I go? How do I choose? What if I make the wrong choice and I want to change my mind? So we want to be able to answer those questions for you. So we're going to talk to you about your journey, your college and your university journey. Your journey is going to be unique. You are different than your friends. I know this is going to be shock for you, but you are different from your friends. And your colleges might be different. Your programs might be different. Your journey is definitely going to be different because you're very much your own person. So make it unique to you. Just because your best friend wants to study esports or fashion design doesn't mean you need to. There's this whole thing called Zoom and FaceTime that you can enjoy each other even if you're thousands of miles apart. So if the US is going to be the destination to where you want to study, great, come and study with us. We want to be able to help you do that. We want to be able to help you expand your world, figure out where exactly you want to study and what you want to study. So what we're going to cover today is how to research and find your fit. Where are you going to fit in? Majors and minors in any special programs, how to change your mind when you change those, and then different pathways to your career. So David, tell us about the different types of colleges and universities in the US.
Of course, yeah. So for the different types of colleges and universities in the US, you're gonna might be a little overwhelmed when you see all the different options that you have. But you do want to know the differences because they're all gonna result in different degrees and different careers that you can pursue. There are community colleges that provide you typically 2-year degrees. Technical colleges will typically get you more of a technical degree for something that won't necessarily be a professional career. It'll be something a little bit different. And then the baccalaureate degrees, there's for-profit universities and colleges. There's non-profit universities and colleges like Oral Roberts. There are also tribal colleges, and all those different universities will give you different options as far as your career, such as private universities, public universities, research, master's granting colleges, doctoral universities and colleges. There's special focus institutions such as ORU, or a liberal arts university, but there are law universities, they're all faith-based universities, medical schools, engineering schools, and some of those it's kind of easy to understand what exactly the results are, but we'll get into that a little bit more here during this presentation.
Yeah, so for those of you who are taking notes, good little students out there taking notes, you can go ahead and write down, you have 4,300 choices to choose from in the US. That's just in the US alone for all these different types of colleges. So 4,300 options. Anybody overwhelmed yet? So the big question is, what are you interested in studying? What is going to be something that piques your interest? Something that you're saying, Katie, I love math. Great, you should probably study something that has to do with math. But if you're saying, Katie, I want to study engineering, but I'm not good at math, then we need to think about what are you interested in studying that you are good at. So it's going to be a quest. So when we talk about program specifics, there are majors and there are minors. So it's going to be a difference. So your major is going to be a collection of courses for the degree. There's a number of credits and units involved. Usually it's about half. So if you have a 120 credit hour program, then 60 credits of that will be in your major. And that's how colleges and universities are measured in the US, is by credit hours. The subjects are going to be whatever you choose to be. So if it's going to be math, then you're going to have a lot of math courses. Working with this student that was interested in majoring in biology, she only kind of liked science, but wanted to be a doctor. But when we went through that degree plan sheet and saw that she had 42 credit hours of biology, she had to think again of saying, gosh, do I really, really love biology? Because there's a lot of classes of biology. And so if you're going to go into a professional field like nursing, accounting, pre-law, education, your degree plan is going to be even more full of those major credit hour classes, especially for nursing students. You've got 3 full years at least of specific nursing classes and only about a year of general education type classes. Now you do have the option of changing your major. That just means that you were going to be responsible for the new degree plan sheet. So if you want to change from management into marketing, because they're both business, that change isn't as difficult. But if you're going to change from management into nursing, that is quite the change. So you have to be able to look at those degree plan sheets to see what is the requirements for this. Then the other side is a minor. So a minor is just an area of academic concentration. This one is going to come into play. The example we have is communications with a minor in business, because communications is a very general degree. If you want to use communications in the health field, you would probably want to have communications with a health field minor. It's just about 6 classes, so not a whole lot, but it's enough to say I'm proficient in this field enough to be able to get by in this. So when should I declare? David, let's teach them about when do you declare your major?
Yeah, Katie, I was wondering, is this a good time to see, what these students would be interested in?
Yes, absolutely. It's a great time for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and launch a poll for you guys, so you can go ahead and answer one of these questions. But if money were no object, how would you fill your days? Would you fill it by sleeping? Would you rather do researching, traveling, teaching, helping others, building my business, or watching TikTok videos? I mean, what is it that you enjoy doing? It really helps determine and answer this next slide that we're going into, and when you should declare your major, what that major should be. So some people are answering research, traveling, helping others, building my business. There's no TikTok videos yet, so I think this is a good group, Katie.
All right. Yeah, it looks like we're doing good. You know what would be interesting? What I love about this question, if money were no object, how would you fill your days? In teaching this, I remember we had somebody say, no, I would just sleep. I would sleep all the time. And I'm like, apparently you need to work for one of those sleep institutes. Did you guys know that there are sleep institutes that you can study how the brain functions, fixes anything when you're sleeping? So you can actually have a career in that. And that would be really fun to tell your friends, I have a career in sleeping.
So I'm gonna go ahead and share those results with everybody. But a lot of students, they do want to travel with that money, the infinite money that they have. So that's a good career. I like that. When should I declare my major? I think it's an important question to ask yourself. If you've met the admissions requirements, you're already admitted to the institution, that's a good time to start saying, this is exactly what I need to or want to study. Some institutions will let you change their major after you've already submitted the application, you've been accepted, even after you've already been admitted, gone further through the process. Some majors, you're not admitted directly into the program, but you have to complete certain courses or units or credits with a certain grade point average in order to be admitted into that program directly. So some majors, you have to declare them immediately. Some examples would be engineering, nursing, education, biomedical chemistry, and it really depends according to that specific college. So if you're an engineering student, you're going to start taking engineering classes right off the bat. So that's why they want you to start selecting that major right away. As an F1 or a J1 visa holder, which is most international students, and you must always declare a major, no matter what you actually want to study. On your I-20, your certificate of you want to declare what major you actually want to study. So that's what's going to be listed on there. However, in the US, you can always change your major to meet your requirements. And the consequences of changing your major, like Katie mentioned earlier, it can be, US visa officers may think that you're not ready to study in the US and deny your US visa and request you to apply when you are ready, or maybe a longer time in the university spending more money on tuition because you're going to be here. Swim students may be there for 5 or 6 years, depending on how many times you change your major. So,
And because money is an object, the more money spent on tuition is going to be very important. So honestly, this slide is my favorite. So I'm going to talk about this one, the double major and the dual major. Majors are not trophies. So we're not going to try and collect them. If you want to collect degrees, collect them as you move up. So collect them in the form of a bachelor's, in the form of a master's, doctor's, collect them as you move up. So the difference is a double major is 2 degrees in different fields. So you have 2 options when you come away to university. You have a bachelor's of arts and you have a bachelor's of science. So you've got 2 different ones. A double major is literally getting a degree in both. So degrees are typically 4 years long. So now you're getting 2 of them. So if you just did it traditionally, it would be 8 years in college. Some schools don't even allow it. They want to know, why do you want to combine these 2 degrees? Why do you think getting a degree in business and nursing is a good idea? And they won't let you. Not a whole lot of the classes overlap. So you're probably going to be in school 7 years, 6.5 to 7 years, depending on how many credits you take per semester, if you take summer classes, if you're transferring in credits from like A levels. So that's the double major. The dual major is if you are taking one of those degrees, like a bachelor's of science, in 2 different concentrations, like international business and communications. What that means is it's still going to be more time, but the requirements of the degree plans overlap just a bit more. So instead of taking 7 years to get your 2 degrees, it's going to take you maybe 5, 4.5 if you're really good at it. So again, don't always look to double major. Double majoring is going to make your college career very busy, very full. College is more than just academics. College is still college student life. It's being in the dorms. It's enjoying yourself, living your best life while you're at school. Having a double major that you're going through could impede on a lot of things, including time with your professors. Your professors are going to be one of the best pieces of your network puzzle to be able to work with you. That if you are double majoring and you're filling all your times with just these specific academics, then you're not going to be able to be a part of that with your professors. So the core and general education requirements, we'll just do this really quickly. Like we said, you're going to have a general education classes. That's your foundation. Depending on what program you choose, there's going to be about half of your program are foundational courses. The more specific degrees will have less general education foundation. Then you're going to have your major courses and then your elective courses. So elective courses are literally just that. You get to elect to take whatever you want to take. If it's underwater basket weaving, have fun. If it is another history class, again, have fun. But so this is just an opportunity for you just to have a really good foundation in your general education classes with more of the liberal arts types of classes, the history, science, Bible, etc. So the difference of the degrees, a liberal arts degree versus a professional degree, the liberal arts is going to be like your English, biology, psychology, just the basic ones that you can use, and you can function in many different roles with that. The professional degrees are going to be the education, pre-law, pre-med. So if you're coming over to the US and you want to be a doctor, first you have to come and get a bachelor's degree in some type of medical field. Some biology, biomedical chemistry, medical molecular biology. You have to be able to get that first. Then between your junior and your senior year, you have to take the MCAT, which is the medical college assessment test. And then throughout your senior year, usually just before, you need to start applying to medical schools. Then if you can get into medical school, you've got at least 3 years in medical school, depending on the field you're going to study in. After you're done with the medical school, you still need to do your internship, your residency, and possibly a fellowship. We're looking at 11 to 14 years of education if you want to be a doctor. Now, if we look on the other side of that to say, I really want to work in medicine, nursing is going to be a very good example of that, because nursing is going to be a 4-year degree, which is a bachelor's of science in nursing. You can immediately go into the field. If you want to work with children, if you want to work with old people, if you want to do 10 years of this and 10 years of that, you can with nursing. You cannot with getting to be a doctor. If you major in cardiology, you're a cardiologist. And that's it. If you want to then go and be a heart surgeon, you have to go back to school. So think about that when you're looking at the professional degrees. It's going to be very specific to the field you're looking in. So make sure that you know that you're called to do that. If you just think, like I said, I think I want to be in medicine, think about other options like the nursing. And so just real quick, what are you going to do with that history degree, that literature degree? Honestly, a whole lot. You might not be able to think that, but it's honestly a whole lot. So critical thinking, problem solving, working with the team, you're going to be able to need these. Research and writing skills is going to be really important, honestly, especially in the era that we're in right now, how everything is done virtually or via email. You need to be able to do your research and your writing well. Then with the marketplace value, what that means is, are you hireable? Can you get a job? Is that going to be possible for you? And are you going to love it long term? So it's going to be very, very important in going into this. So David, do the majors have to relate to a specific career?
No, not necessarily.
Love that.
That's the good thing about going to a liberal arts school is you have options, and there's time. So 20 to 50% of students begin their career as undecided or exploratory students. So really, there's a lot of students that change their mind. I was, luckily I was a student that stayed in the College of Business after I changed my major to business. But all throughout my career, I changed my major about 5 different times. So luckily, they were all within different majors in business. So I didn't get behind. I actually got ahead and graduated early. So I was just one of those lucky persons to be able to make it work. But it did take some extra working summer school. So there are ways to do it. So while taking your general education classes, your first year, you're kind of trying on these classes in the general area to see where you're interested. For example, if you want to do something in business, you take a marketing or a management or an advertising course. So you really want to get to know your academic advisor so that they will set really a professional opinion, a professional perspective, give you an idea and their opinion of the field that they've worked in and what you can use those courses for, what that career could be used for. So all of that is going to help you. You want to know the process yourself. You want to get involved in selecting your major or changing your major, everything, all the processes involved with that. Ensure that the outcome of the requirement is something that you're ready for in the length of time, along with the investment of finances. So say you decide to change your major from engineering to maybe music. Well, that's great, good for you. But now you have to consider you just took a whole year of engineering classes that don't apply to your major in music. So all that goes down the drain. That's depending on what your tuition is, all of that money is really just gone. So you really want to think about that before you decide a major. So again, it depends on the career. That's why we're comparing liberal arts to professional degrees, because there's a really big difference. But typically, most majors that you're going to choose will give you a bit more leeway so that you can say, well, I do want to change my major. I'll apply for these classes. I'll go to summer school and I won't get behind if you do it early enough. So that's the key, is doing it early. Be able to explain your major to anyone. And if you can't, then it might not be the right major for you.
So true, so true. So we had a young man want to come in and he wanted to major in medical molecular biology. And I was like, do you even know what that is? Like, what are you going to do with that degree? Do you even know what that is? He's like, well, I'm going to study biology. Well, you just chose medical molecular biology. So what's the difference in molecular biology and biology? So if you don't know that difference, like David said, you should probably look into doing something else. So it's next we're going to talk about to research and find your fit. So as children we learn that you cannot put a round peg in a square hole. It just doesn't fit. So we want to be able to look at, do I fit in this university, these top 5 universities that I want to look at? What are we looking for? So 4,300 universities, you're going to be looking for quite a lot of things. One of them, obviously, the biggest question we get is funding. What are they going to give me in scholarships? The biggest tip I can give you on this is don't look at amounts, look at percentages. Because if a school is $100,000 and they're going to give you $20,000 in scholarships, you're thinking, oh gosh, that's only 20% of my tuition is going to be covered in scholarships. But if you look at a school that's $50,000 and they give you $20,000 in scholarships, all of a sudden you need to be thinking, or even if they only give you 15 in scholarships, you need to be thinking in percentages. So the funding is going to be huge. Location. One of the things we ask is, where do you want to be? Do you want to be close to family, away from family? Do you want to live by the ocean? Do you want to live in a small town? Do you want to live in a big town? Do you want to take the train every day to school? So where's the location that you want to be in? Size of the campus. What I've learned in working with international students is they say our campus is very large. On US standards, our campus is not very large. So if you look at some of the other schools, they're going to be campus. I mean, it took me 10 minutes to ride my bicycle from one end of the campus to the other at a campus I went to. It was huge. This campus, I can walk from one end to the other in 10 minutes. And I can appreciate that because I don't feel like I'm so spread out all over campus. Cost, obviously, cost is going to be very important. The program, have a plan B, probably a plan C for your program when you're choosing them, because if you think you want to study architecture and then change your mind and you want to do education, if the college you chose is only known for architecture and you change your mind, you're probably going to have to be changing universities as well. We could touch on that later. Safety, you want to make sure that it's in a safe location for you. I'm sure mom and dad want you in a safe location. Job placement, this is where the network of your academic advisors is going to come in really good. They're going to be able to help connect you with other people in the field with that job placement and return on your investment. Your education needs to be viewed as an investment, because it's not saying I'm going to pay this off in 2 years. You are literally investing in the next 40 years of your life. So if you break it down saying, okay, if I spend $100,000 on my education over the next 40 years, actually that's not too bad of an investment. And I can be able to make that back. So then we just want to make sure that everything puts together. So take a lot of notes. Don't just decide because your friends go there, because your parents went there, because it's in a pretty city. Make sure it hits everything on your list that you want to be able to do with this. So with this, the program major and minor and rankings. One of them obviously is your major available? And what are the rankings? Now let me explain something about rankings to you just real quick. So rankings can be national or they can be regional, but they can't be both. So if a university wants to be ranked nationally, and they might be low, then they might choose to be ranked regionally, so they rank high on the rankings chart. The ones who are ranking high on the national chart are typically going to be the older Ivy League schools with a very low acceptance rate and a very high tuition rate. Not to discourage you from applying, just to be honest with that. So when you're looking at rankings, just make sure you're looking at the rankings that are going to be important to you. If community is really important to you, look for the ones that are really good at the community aspect. Internships, work-related experience, campus size, we chatted about these, safety, job placement, return on your investment. Make yourself a list. What's important to you? What's important to your family? And that's how you can find your good fit. So David, right colleges.
Yeah, so what college should I choose versus what college is the best fit for me? I think a lot of times when you're looking at different universities, you start thinking, oh well, my friend went to this college and he looks really great in all his Instagram posts. I think I want to go to that college. Well, there's a bit more to the college than just Instagram. There's, there is a reality that you won't get from other people's stories. So you have to look more into the university. What is the right college for you? There's nothing worse than finding that your dream school, only realize that it doesn't offer the major that you've ultimately chosen. So really you have to know, the professors, by selecting a major, you are selecting a group of people who will be your primary instructors and mentors. You will begin to think, act, and talk like them. If you don't like them, you'll probably won't end up liking yourself. So really, this is the closest thing to choosing your parents. I mean, these professors are going to guide you through a lot of different difficult situations and help guide you through your career and advise you. So they're gonna be there for you all along your college career. So this is an important choice to make. But it's also important not to settle. I mean, if you want to study whales, study marine biology. If your parents really, really want you to go to a certain school due to prestige or ranking, but that school doesn't offer marine biology, then don't settle. I mean, you gotta study what you want to study, because you're gonna really regret that for probably a long, long time. So school's reputation is very important. Do your research. Make sure that the school you want to attend is known for that major. Every school has multiple major offerings, but are only known for a handful of those. So know that we're all different universities all have our strengths and weaknesses. So ask about that program. How long has that program been in place? Have you won any awards? What can you tell me about that? I mean, all of those things are very important. We have an engineering program here at ORU, and it's a small engineering program, but that program has been very successful, completed in the Hyperloop competition in California, ranked in the top 16 of the finalists, along with all of the other universities in the US. So I mean, that's something that's we're really proud of. But again, it depends. Not all small engineering colleges are good, but some of them are. Some of them are bigger. So size doesn't determine everything. It really comes down to you asking the right questions to that university. And again, have a backup plan. Make sure that what college you choose has at least 2 of your top 5 majors. For example, if it's architecture and construction management, if you are interested in the design of buildings, right? So if you're that could be civil engineering or something similar, but just know exactly what those career offerings are for that specific major. Maybe you're set on a specific major and you think that's the only way you're going to get there. But you can also look at different careers or majors that you can choose and get to that same career. So there's different avenues and ways to get there. So again, it's all about doing your research and knowing exactly what is needed for that. Can I afford this college? Is this the one that I want? But again, looking into that major and seeing that they have that.
Well said, David, well said. Let's poll them again. Let's ask them a question. Make sure they're still awake out there. I love these. No, we need the next one. There we go. Nope.
Not letting me
Let's see.
Oh, here it is.
Do I have another one pulled up?
It's here. Just my mouse is giving me some trouble. 1 second.
Okay.
There.
Can you see that one? So when I grow up, I want to be a fill in the blank. What do you want to be? An engineer, a doctor, a teacher, a nurse, a politician, a community builder, a computer scientist. So I will tell you the top 3 jobs across all of the nation right now, jobs that are never going away, by the way: education, nursing, and computer. Anything computer, computer scientist, artificial intelligence, computer engineers, data analytics. Those are going to be here to stay. So if you don't like computers or are not good with them, you better get good with them. But nursing and engineering, we will always need medical and nurses, and we will always need educators. So top 3.
All right.
All right, looks like computer science is kind of gaining some steam there.
There you go. So those are the results I got right now. So computer scientists, 33%, politicians, 22%, tied with doctors at 22%, and then teachers and nurses are tied at the end.
Nice. All right, we love that. So the best fit, how do I know? So how do you know if you want to be a politician? 22% of you. So we'll take a little self-assessment. Who are you? What do you want to do? How hard have you worked in school? Be honest with yourselves, because if it's just enough to be able to get that passing grade, you might need to work a little bit harder. How involved are you in the life of the school? They say 80% of your college experience is outside of the classroom. So how involved were you in school? Which means how involved are you going to be in college? And then what makes you special? Our mothers, fathers, parentals, guardians, I'm sure they told everybody that they're special, which means you're special, you're special, you're special, you're special, and you're special. So we're all special. So what makes you special? And now with those, so that's going to be on one side of the paper. And then the other side for your college assessment, you need to be able to put down, I would say, start with the top 20. Top 20, in the location you want, have the programs you want, and then start narrowing it down. Get down to a top 10, get down to a top 5, apply to your top 5, and work it down to, your top 3 too, and then the one where you're going to go. So it says students apply to 4 to 8 colleges. You can apply to more. I applied to 1 because I knew where I wanted to go. It had all the programs that I wanted to be able to take. And for me, it was close to my mother, who did not want to let me go at 18. Since then, I have moved many states and many hours away and chosen where I've wanted to go to school. But again, so I guess in the end, I have applied to 4 colleges. All right. So when you make the choice, making the choice, again, this is going to be your choice. David had touched on it just a little bit earlier, that this is going to be your choice. This is not going to be your parents' choice, your friend's choice. This is going to be yours. Your parents are not going to be taking those exams, even if they want you to be a lawyer. Your parents are not going to be putting in the time behind the desk or the computers if you're going to be a computer person. They're not going to be behind the microscope if they want you to be a doctor. This is your choice. It's a personal choice. Again, it's a time investment. How much do you want to invest, not monetarily, but time into your education? Happiness. So they say happiness is personal and joy is shared. So can you find happiness in this? Does this make you happy, or are you dreading going to class to learn this every day? And then be realistic. So realistic, when I applied to a university where that was $85,000 a year, many years ago, because I wanted to go there because it had everything that I wanted. Realistically, it wasn't feasible for my family. But I did find one that worked for me. Safe majors. So when we talk about safe majors, these are going to be the majors that are going to be always around and applicable in many fields. So the majors like the communications type majors, those are considered safe because they're very user-friendly and versatile. So this is where your general education courses are going to come in to be very versatile in what you learn, what you know, what you can experience. The oral communication class that literally every student in college has to take, no matter where you go to school. It's basically a speech class because you're going to have to do speaking at some point in time. Even if you are that data analytics person, you will have to speak to the person who is interviewing you. So having that oral communication class is going to be very important to you. So David, let's talk about, about that job, wanting that job.
Yeah, that's that's a great question. Why do you want that job? How do you work towards getting that job? Why are you investing your time and resources in your education? I mean, those are really important questions to be able to answer. So some skills that are desired by employers can be communication skills, written and verbal, their honesty, integrity. They're looking for you to have teamwork skills to be able to work on a team effectively. Do you have the flexibility and adaptability when plans change, when pandemics hit the job? Are you able to adapt and go home, work on a computer? Do you have that time management, that self-confidence, that organization, the experience? All of that is very, very important. So if you for a lot of students, if they won't end up using their major in their work, And that's sometimes that's a really tragic loss. You spend so much time studying a certain career and then you don't use it at all. Um, but some students do. So the U.S. Bureau of Labor estimates that an average person changes careers 2 to 3 times throughout their lifetime. So the skills you gain in your coursework are going to prepare you for and the transferable skills that you will need in a lot of different jobs. So in a survey done through the National Association of College and Employers, these were the skills ERs look for in potential candidates. So you want to be able to have different skills that will transfer from to different jobs. And that's some of those communication skills that Kitty was talking about, some of those computer skills that you're gonna learn that inevitably when you're going through writing papers, making Excel spreadsheets, and doing all the things in different careers. Will have a little bit of that experience. It's just I encourage you to think about that a little bit more about what you're going to gain, some of the skills that you're gaining throughout your career, whether through that's activities, clubs, volunteering, internships, etc. I mean, there's just so many different opportunities for you to learn and get out there and experience and have those skill sets to be able to apply them, put them on your resume, and have somebody be a reference to you so that you're able to get a job after you graduate, because that's really the end goal. So
I want to do another little poll here. So I plan to attend school for how many years? We talked about a time investment. How long do you want to be in school, or how long do you think you need to be in school? I was given this presentation, and a student had circled 2 years, and I was like, oh, 2 years, like technical school. What do you want to be? What are we going to do in these 2 years? He's like, I'm going to be a doctor. Oh, okay, you're probably going to need a little bit more than 2 years. And so we had to really go through and say, what time investment am I putting in for this? Now, most people are saying 4 years, and that's about right. That's a bachelor's degree. 6 years, that's a bachelor's and a master's, sometimes maybe a law degree. 8 years, I see a couple with 8 years. That's going to be your medical people, 8 years. Now, law school is 3 years long. So if you do a bachelor's degree in like political science, and then you go to law school, that's 7 years. So it's just thinking about that. So 4 years, it seems to be the most. Love that. All right. So explore the major early. Did you just touched on this? So if we look into the program requirements, what is required? So if you're looking at the biology degree, like we mentioned earlier, how many classes of biology do you have to take? If you don't love biology, like you love food, you probably shouldn't be a biology major. Shadow, what that means is you want to be able to say, you know what, man, I want David's job. What does he do all day? I want to shadow him. I want to see what he does. Seems like all he does, he just gets to hang out with students, and he does. He just gets to hang out with students. It's a pretty cool job. So you just shadow him, say, what do you really do? Because your job just looks totally cool. But then when you go to shadow Javid and be like, wow, he works a ton, a lot more than I ever anticipated that he's working. You wouldn't know that unless you shadowed them. So find that person that you can shadow. Maybe mom and dad know somebody that are in the area, maybe a friend, an uncle, or somebody that you can shadow. If you can't shadow them, interview people. It's like, David, I've got a question. Like, what does a day look like for you? How often are you on the phone? How many emails do you get a day? How many office visits do you get a day? Do you just get to travel internationally? I mean, is that the coolest job ever? Do your research. Figure it out. There's a couple different sites you can go to research. Glassdoor.com, Indeed.com, Monster.com, and just do the research. LinkedIn to say, what does it really look like to have a job like this? Volunteer. Just on a little side note, I always knew that I wanted to work in the restaurant business because I volunteered every summer at a local soup kitchen by my parents' house, and I fell in love with sharing the love to people with food. And so I've always loved that. And so that's what my degree is actually in, is we'll just call it food because it sounds like more fun. Any internships, if you want to say, I want to practice in this field, or summer classes, think ahead. You can do good by yourself for this. So a few things to keep in mind, but I want to do another poll. There was a poll in here that I thought was really fun. I could not live without. What is something you could not live without? And this is going to be really important because you have to think about this when you're going away to school. So David, you came away to school. What could you not live without?
Um, my car.
My car. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's my car. So I think mine would have been, gosh, out of those, social media wasn't really a thing when I was going away to school. So I would say probably my phone. And only because back when I was going to school, going to college, it was my pager. I couldn't live without my pager. They're probably too young to know that. Before the phones were cool things. So a lot of people, I can't live without my phone because it's your connection. It's your connection. Oh, so here's a little piece of advice one of my international students shared with me. You have a ton of pictures on your phone, right? You love your phone. 44% of you can't live without your phone. Your pictures on your phone when you go away to university are great. However, one of my students shared with me that it helped her with homesickness more because she printed those pictures out and she hung them on the wall. So she felt like she was surrounded by her family and they weren't trapped in her phone. So just as a little thought, you're coming away probably thousands of miles away from family, print those pictures out and bring them and hang them on your dorm room wall. It'll be good for you. So a few things to keep in mind. Don't choose a major based on income potential alone. I'll say it again. Don't choose a major based on income potential alone because you could be making hundreds of thousands of dollars and hate your job. Or you could be making a decent amount of money and absolutely love your job. And there's a difference because if you love your job, they say you'll never work a day in life. And so it's going to be really important. Don't let authority figures influence you too much. Definitely take their words of advice because they only want the best for you. So anybody who's sitting in like our position, counselors, your parents, your high school counselors, your friends, take them all into account. They all love you. They all care for you. But you. Be the best you that you can be. Do your own research. Get your experience. Don't follow your friends. You're your own person. Look to your friend and say, I'm my own person. Good job, because I just pretended that you did that. Don't double major without a good reason. Don't wait too long to choose your major. David had touched on earlier on do it really quickly. If you can do it within your first year, it's going to be better for you. That way you don't lose any kind of time and you can make up even the classes or the time that you had missed out from the summer courses like you mentioned. Don't choose your major based solely upon a romanticized image. So a lot of people ask, what do you mean a romanticized image? Well, we love movies, right? Because that's just cool. So if you're seeing that movie and you're seeing, wow, you know what, that's such a cool, it's a cool computer hacking movie. I think I'm going to be a computer hacker. I'm going to go into computer science. But then you realize you were only seeing like 60 seconds of them actually doing any kind of computer programming. You were going to be that computer programmer from 8 to 5 in front of your computer, just like this, Monday through Friday, 52 weeks out of the year, maybe a year for vacation for the next 40 years. How much do you really love the computer programming? So don't romanticize an image. Make it realistic to you. All right. So then what if I change my mind? David, what happens if you change your mind? You changed your mind. So what happens?
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, if you do change your mind, it's okay. Don't freak out. Take a deep breath and look at the plans. Is there an alternative plan? Is that change actually necessary? Look at how far into the program you are. Look at the costs involved. Is it affordable to change it? Are there possibly better internships you can change? Are there moving expenses? What are some of the graduate school options? Do you need to actually switch schools because your school doesn't offer your major? Sometimes you're switching schools in the same state, in the same system, and that may help you. But sometimes going to a different state may actually not help you. So you have to consider with your major, are you happy? Are you not happy with your major? You want to switch your major, but you're not sure what you want to switch to. You got to consider that time, taking time off for an internship and really making sure that you're fully aware of what goes into that decision. And that how that will affect your financial aid package, specifically your scholarships. So don't waste time. Don't waste a semester, year trying to figure out exactly what you're really interested for choosing a major. If you're only taking a few classes, or you're only a few classes short of completing your current major, then consider graduating and going to graduate school afterwards, and then changing your that major, right? So if you do maybe something like nursing and you decide, well, I actually want to start my own business, well, you can also go and get your MBA, and you can still be a nurse during that time. So there you go. So I mean, that there are options. There'd be other expenses that involve when you switch that coursework. So keep that in mind. Switching your major between two concentrations in the same department is a lot easier than maybe changing colleges. That's why I stayed within business, was because I liked business, but I just necessarily didn't like a lot of different aspects of business, like accounting. So that was one of the things that I decided to veer away from that. I ended up going to graduate school and still having to deal with accounting, but it's not something I deal with on a daily basis. So that's something that I do enjoy, but you have to figure that out. Don't quit because others in majors are better than you. The point of going to college is that you learn. So learn. Don't compare yourself to other people. There's different people in the room that will have different IQs, different backgrounds, experiences, and they may seem smarter, but you don't know what's going on. Um, you know, After they graduate, some of those smartest kids in the classroom, some of them are still in school because they can't figure out what they want to do with their lives, and you're over there in your careers. So really don't compare yourself to anybody else. If you decide that you want to switch institutions for any reason, you got to do the research, because not all of your credits will transfer. And those credits are hard to earn, and you pay a lot of money, and transferring them and losing credits, that's money going down the drain. So think about it.
Well said, well said. Money going down the drain. I'm gonna launch this poll because I'm looking at our offices. I like David's office set up with his maps on the wall. Mine, I still haven't got my stuff hung yet. So my dream job office would involve, so what would it involve? A big desk and many windows. You don't see David's got great windows in his office. Lots of travel, a small space where I could work on my own, or an open space. I was in a business one time and literally there were no offices. It was one big giant room and it was nothing but really cool tables, and everybody just worked on their laptops at that table. It was very collaborative, but it was really cool. A computer with at least 3 screens, depending on what you're going to go into. Flexible hours and working from home, we've all discovered in the past year, or appreciation for my hard work. I think everybody wants to be appreciated for their hard work. So we can put that as 100%, if you want to look at the other ones. So I love lots of travel, lots of travel. So I met someone that her job was for the executive team, was to go to the venue wherever they were going before, experience all the things that there were to experience, and then come back and then take the executive team on it. I'm like, ooh, I want your job. And she said, Katie, you have no idea the planning that goes into this, and contingency plans, because these are executives. I was like, never mind, I don't want your job. I'll keep my job. All right, so it looks like everybody wants to be appreciated for their hard work, followed by lots of travel. Very nice, very nice. So we're gonna ask some questions. We're gonna ask you guys some questions. Am I choosing this because someone else wants me to? Again, take mom and dad into account, but they're not gonna have that job or take those tests. Am I only choosing this because I don't know what to do? Gap years are very popular. Gap semesters are very popular. Figure it out. Don't spend the money until you do. Do I realistically understand what it takes to do this? Like we said, it takes more than 2 years to get a doctorate degree. What kind of jobs can I get in this field? This is going to be super important because you want to be marketable. So what are you going to be able to do? Do that research. Am I willing to do graduate studies in this field? I mean, David just said he's got his MBA. What his MBA does for him is it makes him more marketable. That's going to be really important. Are there jobs that work with the kind of lifestyle that I want? Those of you out there, how we can say, with champagne taste, very expensive taste, you should probably go and make sure that your job is well paid. For those of you who know how to live within your means, within your budget, just make sure you be able to have that lifestyle that you want. And then, does this topic bring me joy? Remember, we said joy is, it's joy. You want to be happy to work around. If you get to work to be a part of a team, or if you don't, that joy that is shared, you want to be able to make sure that I am fun and happy to be around. And so sometimes it's the smallest decisions that can change your life forever. So David, give us some tips for the road.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot, and I think it's inevitable. You'll learn by experience, but definitely listen to people. So it's important to take notes now, and definitely listen to any tips you get from college advisors like us, or your parents, anybody that's been through that. So that's definitely really important. But the first one is, college is a business decision. It involves time and financial investment. So money doesn't buy your happiness, but your career will consume at least 40 hours of your time every single week. So don't let those 40 hours be dedicated to something that you're doing only for money. You really want to be able to do that for something that you enjoy doing. 40 hours a week. So you're going to be doing that a lot. Remember that influence can be positive or negative. Don't let someone discourage you from a challenging major just because they think it's challenging. They aren't doing the major. You're doing all that work. That decision is yours and yours alone. So remember, a king should be strong. He accepts counsel, but only when he asks for it. He makes it clear that the final decision is not his counselors. Be the king over your college major. Remember that. Remember this. Know what you own and why you own it. What is your college education? If not investment, don't let a whim put you in debt. So really know exactly what you're getting into, know exactly why you want to do that, and what is involved in that. What you do in the classroom is usually a very, very poor indicator of what an actual career in your major will look like. Get the experience as soon as possible. Go get that internship. Go shadow somebody. That's where you'll figure out where the right college is that will help you connecting to the right jobs in your field. Ask the right questions to that college advisor. There's a terrible gut-wrenching secret about you and your friends. You are different, so you do you. Don't do what your other friends are doing just because they're doing it. You want to do that major. I mean, you have to choose what you want to do, not just to be with your friends in the same college in the same major and spend the most amount of time with them doing something that you don't like doing. Remember that college majors are not Xbox achievements or Pokemons. You do not have to collect them all. Never stop learning, but you don't need a degree in everything. One of the other things that you do have to remember is that, do you actually want to get your hands dirty and do computer engineering, or are you just wanting to be like all the cool hackers in the movies like Katie was talking about? Movies are a great inspiration, but remember that they're only a snapshot of what you're actually going to be doing. That cool movie that with the hackers, you might only see just a snippet of what all that actual computer work entails. I mean, they may be doing it just for 30 seconds on the screen, but really that code that they had to write probably would have taken them hours and hours and hours of work. So you'd be doing that 40 hours a week for many years. Change your perspective. Don't just choose a major because of that romanticized image that Katie was talking about. Part of successfully reaching a destination or achieving a goal is having a clear path to follow and avoiding the pitfalls along the way. So listen.
I love how you mentioned it earlier for that romanticized image, how you use the highlight on Instagram analogy. That's so true, because we think people are just living their best life and all of a sudden they're just on vacation all the time, because that's all you see is a highlight reel. That's exactly what you see in the movies too. You just see the highlights.
Yes. No, exactly. And I mean, that's why you have to go if you can. And then now it's really hard to go visit that university or find out as much as you can about that university. Talk to current students, ask for the resources. If you don't ask, then you won't receive anything that you really want to know about that university, about that specific major, about that field. I mean, it's up to you. It's your major. It's what you want to do. So don't let mom and dad do everything for you. You have to go out there and get your hands dirty doing some of that research yourself as well.
Absolutely. So we're going to do one more quick poll. I am most grateful for, what are we most grateful for? Your family, your religion, modern technology, my true friends, you know, those are different than your other friends. My health, lessons learned, or happiness and laughter. So what are you most grateful for? We had this because, so this is going to be your destiny. Is it worth it? Is it worth doing the research? Is it worth taking the time? What are you going to be most grateful for? My family. I love that. Family, you know, super supportive. They're there for you. I'm very grateful for my family as well. David, you've got a huge family. They're all here for graduation. Goodness gracious.
So grateful for their support.
Nice, nice. Okay, so good. So it looks like a lot of people, their family, a couple people for religion, their health. All right, people, health is very important. Let's kick up on that a little bit. Lessons learned. Parents will tell you they want you to learn their lessons. So that's going to be good. So we want to be able to take any kind of questions. If you want to type them in the chat box, we just have about 4 minutes left, or in the Q&A box. We are happy to answer any questions that you may have. Usually a lot of the questions that we get are about how do I get scholarships? So we'll go ahead and we'll answer that one right now. So how do I get scholarships? You get scholarships by applying to the university you want to go to, by seeing if you're admissible to that university, see what they have to offer. And their scholarship package is probably going to be complete. Now, somebody had asked me in the last time, can you get a scholarship at one university and use it at another? The answer is no. Scholarships are university specific for that. So one question came in, may I know if you have a fully funded scholarship for international students? We do get that question quite often. So to be very honest, there is no such thing as a fully funded scholarship. Even, you know, for the ones that are coming in for athletics aren't coming in as fully funded. There are still things that you are going to be responsible for. Some universities will offer discounts in tuition. You might be able to win a full tuition scholarship, which is very different than a fully funded, because you will still have your room and board. And don't forget, you have to buy things for your dorm room, and you have to be able to have food. So you have to be able to live still while you're here, and that's going to be really important. So a fully funded scholarship. David, do you want to talk more to that?
About the fully funded scholarship? Yeah, I mean, it's really just subjective to, does that university offer anything like that? Most universities don't. I mean, a lot of athletes do have some access to scholarships that are maybe something of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
But again, there's always going to be something. So maybe they'll just give you, you know, maybe full tuition, or I'll give you 50% off of tuition. So you have to talk about those options with your coaches and know what that's like. And you have to also qualify for that team. So it's not just asking, but also qualifying and sending them all of your statistics.
So one question came in, does this apply to all Caribbean students too? So we can let you know, for what we were sharing, it's going to apply for you coming into the university, into US universities from outside the country. So everything that we shared, it's going to be applicable to all of yours. For the Caribbean students, I think it's the CXC exam that you have to take instead of your high school transcripts. So that's what you'll have to do for your application. Another one, if I'm not graduating, can I still get into college to study nursing? Universities will require you to have some type of high school transcript or leaving certificate or ordinary levels or IGCSEs or CXCs or EU EECs, depending on what country you're from. You have to have something that says I completed high school. So as long as you can, or secondary schools, you know, something that says you completed, you are done, then you can apply to get into school.
That's good. right.
So let's see.
Okay, perfect timing though. I think we're gonna wrap up there.
Sure. Thanks, Marco.
No, it was like perfect timing. You finished that like question. I was like, okay, great, we're here. We made it. But thanks again for the presentation. It was so wonderful. I definitely learned so much, and I always love hearing you speak, Katie and David. We look forward to seeing you both hopefully in the future.
Absolutely. Thanks, Marco. Have a great afternoon.
Yes, and one more thing to everyone on, you can, if you have any more questions for Oral Roberts University, you can go to their booth at in the exhibit hall and ask them any more questions you had.
We're here to help. Thanks all.
Everyone. Bye, everyone.
Bye.